Here's the M2A1 medium tank of the U.S. Army. This is a piece that Amy and I had met at Aberdeen some years ago. She's not there anymore. She's about 18 feet long, pretty high silhouette. This is side view. You see the two machine gun sponsons. And then there's the turret, nice angle. Too many sutures. And rather oblique armor, meaning very vertical, or a straight surface is pointed to us. Overview. And you see the turret is mounted on like a pedestal. And there's machine gun turrets that radiate all around her. It's a handsome tank, nicely angled, but small. Note the two angled splash plates aligned with the rear machine guns to deflect fire down into trenches or foxholes. So there's a front view. There's a rear view, mufflers, and I guess the bullets would strike here and go into the trenches and foxholes and kill the Germans or whoever. Medium tank, M2A1. In 1939, the American tank arsenal was among the smallest in the world, yet by 1945, it may well have been the largest. This race began with the medium tank M2 and by 1940 the M2A1, then instantly upgrading to the M3 with its larger main gun in 1941. Only 18 of the M2 medium were built before the M2A1 with larger turret and more powerful engine took over. An order for 1,000 was placed, but events in Europe dictated that the M2A1 as well was not adequate, and production ended after about 126 vehicles, with these targeted for training purposes. The M3 medium with its sponson-mounted 75mm gun would be the workhorse for the early part of World War II. So I don't know if I mentioned or not. She's about 18 feet long, so she's small. Here's some other images of M2A1. So Amy and I have actually met this piece, and if you care to look at YouTube and look up Aberdeen and Winnie, the advocate of Harford County, Maryland, Aberdeen, she stands in front of one of these back in the day when the Field of Steel had her, and she talks before it and has armored insignia on the front. Actually, she like stands right here. And it's a very tall or high angle tank. In 1936, the Ordnance Department took a decided turn from Christie concepts and began to move towards a simpler and more durable vehicle for its medium tanks, the M2 light tank, and had been very successful. And one of the goals for the designers was to use as many M2 components as possible. The first prototype, known as the medium tank T5, was photographed in November 1937 at Rock Island Arsenal, where it had been built. The upper structure and the turret were wooden mock-ups, and the lower main hull was made of soft steel. The final drive housings at the front have cooling fins visible. So that's what that is. This model. This is a turret, the gun. A very oblique and plain looking superstructure. And then the hull right here, hull component. This is more like what was at Aberdeen, the piece that appears here. An M2A1 medium tank posed at Aberdeen in September 1940. The 37mm gun was fitted with armor shielding for the barrel and recoil system, and each of the sponson-mounted machine guns had a tubular sight and better armor protection for the rotor. There were still 2 fixed caliber .30 weapons in the front glassy plate. The more angular turret had room for 2, and the armor there was 1 1/4 inches thick. TL. So this piece is probably at Fort Lee, Virginia, in a storage depot or something like that. And that's all.